Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today, we will be covering NVIDIA's big bet on Ilya Sutskever's secretive superintelligence lab, Microsoft rolling out its first in-house cybersecurity model, a privacy scare where people's private Claude chats started showing up in Google search, and a new open alliance NVIDIA is organizing to lock down AI agents. Let's start with one of the most closely watched labs in the world finally getting a serious hardware boost. NVIDIA has invested in Safe Superintelligence, the frontier lab founded by Ilya Sutskever, the former OpenAI chief scientist. As part of a long-term partnership, Safe Superintelligence will get NVIDIA's next-generation Vera Rubin systems, which bumps its available compute up by roughly 10 times. To put that in plain terms, this lab is about to have an order of magnitude more raw computing power to train and run its models. What makes this notable is how little we actually know about Safe Superintelligence. Since it launched in 2024, the company has revealed almost nothing about its models or research. So NVIDIA, writing a big check here, says a lot. The company said it invested after receiving rare access into the company's closely guarded research. In other words, NVIDIA got a look behind the curtain that almost nobody else has gotten and liked what it saw enough to commit. Neither side disclosed the dollar amount. The official announcement only calls the investment substantial, though outside reporting has pegged it in the multiple billions. Either way, this shifts Safe Superintelligence from a quiet research project into a lab with the infrastructure to genuinely compete at the frontier. Next, Microsoft launched MAI Cyber One Flash, its first internally built cybersecurity model. It runs inside a system called MDASH, which uses more than 100 specialized agents to find, verify, and fix software vulnerabilities. Microsoft also introduced something called Perception, which are agent teams designed to continuously watch for and patch security weaknesses on their own. The clever part here is how Microsoft manages cost. Instead of throwing its most powerful model at every task, the system routes about 90% of the work to the compact cyber model, and only calls in the heavyweight GPT 5.4 for the hardest 10%. That design choice gets at the whole point of this release. As Microsoft's Mustafa Suleyman and Hayete Galat put it, token cost is now the real constraint for defenders. The idea is that when you're running security agents around the clock, the bottleneck isn't whether the AI is smart enough, it's whether you can afford to run it constantly. A cheaper, specialized model that handles most of the load, backed by a smarter model for the tricky cases, keeps that affordable. Microsoft reports a success rate of nearly 96% on a benchmark called CyberGem, compared to the low to mid-80s for the systems it compared against, and says it cut costs in half versus its previous setup. Worth flagging that those are Microsoft's own numbers and haven't been independently verified yet, but the strategy itself is the real story. It's Microsoft leaning on its own models for a strategically important product, rather than relying purely on OpenAI or Anthropic. That theme of using AI to defend systems carries into our next story. There's a fresh privacy scare, this time involving Anthropic's Claude. Investigators found that Google searches could surface publicly shared Claude conversations and artifacts, and some of them contained genuinely sensitive material, meeting notes, medical billing information, home addresses, an AI therapy app, and even cryptocurrency wallet keys. One of the search techniques used to dig these up was patched, but another reportedly still worked when the investigation went public. The core problem here is a misunderstanding baked into how sharing works. When you hit Share by Link, a lot of people assume that means unlisted, or that only the person you send it to can see it. But the underlying page is often fully public, which means search engines can crawl and index it. So this wasn't a hack. Nobody broke into Claude accounts. The information got out because users shared it and Google indexed it, exactly as a public web page is designed to work. And this isn't the first time we've seen this exact scenario. It closely echoes what happened in 2025, when shared ChatGPT conversations started showing up in search results. The lesson keeps repeating. If you share something by public link, treat it as genuinely public. Finally, NVIDIA is organizing what it's calling the Open Secure AI Alliance, and it pulled in a heavy roster: Microsoft, IBM, Red Hat, Hugging Face, Cloudflare, CrowdStrike, Cisco, Salesforce, Databricks, LangChain, and dozens of others. The goal is to create and share open technologies for securing AI agents and the software they touch. The starting toolkit includes NVIDIA's Agent Auditing Framework, Microsoft's MDASH scanner, and supply chain tooling from IBM and Red Hat. The argument behind this is that defenders need models and tools they can actually inspect, customize, and run locally, especially when the guardrails on commercial models block legitimate security work. NVIDIA framed it by saying defenders everywhere should have frontier tools they can trust and control. The catalyst was a real incident. After an intrusion at Hugging Face, defenders reportedly ran an open model locally to analyze more than 17,000 agent actions, the kind of forensic deep dive that's much harder to do when your tools live behind someone else's API. One detail jumps out from the membership list, though. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Meta are all absent from the founding group, which is a telling gap given that this is a coalition built explicitly around open, inspectable models.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.